I Spy was a delight to revisit. I remember enjoying this episode well enough, but there really is so much to enjoy here, from the visuals to great character moments and more plot advancement. This is the first time I feel like every character had at least one moment to shine in the same episode, and the setup for future arcs, much like the previous episode, is done so subtly and brilliantly crafted into what is essentially a one-off plotline. I really like this episode. We start off in Stockholm with a really great musical score setting the intensity of the scene to come. The Peaky Blinders, sporting red masks and silver cases, march through the streets as onlookers naturally take photos and videos. A not at all suspicious looking woman suspiciously watches them. How suspicious. Also, shout out to this guy, he's awesome. As some of the suited men got on the train, the woman continues following them. This opening scene is my favourite so far with some stunning visuals. This shot of the prey clocking their predator? Chills. So beautifully unsettling. The woman clocks that everyone is cuffed to their respective cases before it's time for lights out and havoc ensues. When the panic is over, the men are all found either dead or unconscious, with one unlucky fellow one hand down. The woman examines the case she stole and finds diamonds inside. I've got to hand it to them. What a powerful opening sequence. On the bus, we get some more delightful interplay between Coulson and May.
What do you like best? The freedom? The view?
The solitude.
Got it.
Fitzsimmons demonstrate a new weapon they're working on for Ward, who then gets Coulson up to speed on Skye's progress.
She stops saying bang when she pulls the trigger?
Mostly.
Coulson tasks Skye with helping him out on their latest assignment. He briefs her and May on the events in the opening sequence. 55 masked men with randomly assigned cases, only one of them containing diamonds, boarding trains all over the place. Brokers hired these men to keep the diamonds extra secure following several diamond raids recently. However, as we saw earlier, the diamonds were stolen anyway.
But it was just one thief, a woman. And she did it all with her eyes closed.
Skye helpfully speculates the woman is psychic, while Coulson reveals he pitched this case himself, instead of HQ assigning it to him. May is clearly suspicious of this fact. Through social media posts, the team quickly find the culprit, a woman Coulson recognises, Akila Amador, an agent Coulson himself trained who disappeared 7 years ago and was presumed dead. Coulson and Skye share a lovely moment.
You two couldn't be more different. Amador was smart, talented, fearless.
Wow, there's nothing in common.
And the first of several instances in this episode where Skye is paralleled with Akila, the other of Coulson's proteges. Akila meets with a buyer to trade the stolen diamonds for some sort of Access All Areas keycard. The team head out to track Akila down, leading to more brilliant character moments between the core team, from Fitzsimmons bickering like a married couple, wink wink, to Coulson reassuring them they won't even have to leave the van. They're so adorable, I want to cry! Coulson and Ward discuss Akila, and it's probably not an accident that Ward of all people tells Coulson,
I can only imagine how painful this must be for you, sir. Betrayed by someone you trained and believed in.
However, Coulson seems determined not to give up on Akila just yet. In another brilliant moment I adore, Skye and Fitzsimmons phone Ward to ask about bathroom protocols and, most importantly, snacks.
I'm feeling a bit peckish.
Dear God, do I love the bus kids. Coulson and Ward interview a local woman who praises Akila for somehow knowing she had a tumour and is now getting it removed, adding credibility to Skye's psychic theory. Skye and Fitzsimmons manage to hack the server Akila is using, but are greeted with the sight of their own van. Check out some behind the scenes stories about filming this scene if you want a laugh. Skye's training doesn't quite pay off.
Faye?
And Akila rams the van off the road and escapes. Ward is now adamant that Akila is a lost cause and can't be redeemed. Interesting. While further surveillance reveals that Akila has had a camera implanted into one of her eyes.
You're a robot. Can you do that?
This episode has some hilarious lines. We get an early example of showing just how in sync the Fitzsimmons dynamic really is.
Honestly,
That's
genius.
There's some clear tension between Coulson and May over how to deal with Akila, and it's revealed that Akila is being controlled by a mysterious someone sending her orders via the gross eye implant thing. Skye comes to update Coulson and we get the first true confirmation of Dad Coulson and Mama May.
Wasn't nearly as terrible as watching Mom and Dad fight downstairs.
The Coulson and Daisy Skye bond is so precious to me, and this episode really kicks off that relationship on several occasions.
You value me. You're the first person to do that in a long time.
She really trusts him, you guys. By valuing her, she in turn values him. Wholesome content. Later, May is nowhere to be seen while she was supposed to be watching Akila's feed. Coulson and Fitz rewind the footage and see that Akila gave away her location, and May must have gone off to deal with her on her own. May confronts Akila, who reveals that her eye implant has a failsafe. If she now doesn't kill May, her handler will kill her instead. A fight breaks out, but just in time, Coulson arrives and subdues Akila. Coulson warmly catches up with Akilah, revealing the team managed to work their magic and trick her handler, transferring her feed to some special glasses Ward is wearing to make it appear as if she's still out and about following her orders. Akilah gets to look at someone without worry for the first time in the year since she was captured, and it's clear that the Coulson in front of her isn't as brash and strict as the man she once knew. Akilah admits she has no idea who the handler giving her orders is, but refers to them as the Englishman due to certain phrases and spellings they use when messaging her. Fitzsimmons are tasked with performing surgery on Akilah to remove her eye. They're clearly thrilled about this. As Coulson heads out to track down Akilah's handler, he tries to smooth things over with May. She tells him to focus on the mission, her way of saying they're cool without having to get all emotional about it. I wonder what happened to her to make her exterior so cold. Simmons adorably tries to talk Akilah through the procedure while Fitz is once again an absolute mood. Simmons' nerves almost get the better of her, but Akilah helps guide her hand to get things started, a small gesture that I absolutely adore. Elizabeth Henstridge nails the balance of nervousness and false confidence Simmons is trying to show. Ward sneaks into the compound Akilah's handler directs him to with the keycard she acquired earlier. Once inside, he's directed towards a guard and is given a new set of orders.
Help.
I won't lie, I belly laughed when this popped up. I'd completely forgotten about this scene, and the look on Brett Dalton's face is a picture. Ignoring any knowledge of future events I have, I found Ward's pleas for help from Skye in this scene so endearing. His efforts don't quite work, so he settles for the approach he knows best. Moving past the guard, Ward enters a room with a mysterious-looking mix of symbols and lines on the wall. An image of the ward is captured by the camera, and Ward is told Akilah's mission is complete. An alarm sounds, and Ward rushes out. Akilah's surgery continues as it reaches time for Fitz to step in and examine how the eye could be disabled. I utterly adore the way Simmons looks at Fitz as he works. She clearly loves watching her best friend do what he does best. It's a mixture of respect, awe, and probably some stuff she hasn't recognised in herself just yet. Ward accidentally exposes himself to the handler via a mirror, not in a dirty way, stop smiling, and orders Fitz to cut the wires on the eye. He does so, and Fitzsimmons locks the eye away just as the handler activates the failsafe. It explodes without harming anyone. Skye finds Ward and they escape successfully while Coulson manages to locate Akilah's handler and confronts him. However, the handler had a failsafe of his own and drops dead, indicating even he was a pawn in someone else's game. Coulson assures Akilah that they'll find out who the threat behind her ordeal was, and what the weird symbols she was tasked with finding actually mean, kicking off long-running mysteries that are resolved over the next 2 seasons. Love me a long-running arc. Coulson promises to testify at Akilah's trial, but she's not worried about the outcome of it. As far as she's concerned, she's free either way. Akilah's ordeal is really horrific to think about, and it's very impressive to think about how well it worked in what is actually a very funny episode. As she leaves, Akilah asks May about what happened to Coulson that made him so different, continuing another story arc about the truth behind Coulson's death. Coulson and Skye share another awesome scene, continuing the parallels between Skye and Akilah.
It's more peaceful here. It's also cool knowing that someone has my back.
The Coulson and Skye dynamic is a clear strong point of the season so far for me. In her cell, Akilah closes her eyes and is greeted with well-deserved peace. It's a beautiful way of ending the episode. In the tag, and one of my favourite moments of season 1, Fitz and Ward play cards. Unbeknownst to Ward, Skye is using the tech from Akilah's eye to help Fitz cheat.
You know if I do this, that not only will I see Ward's cards, but I'll see you without any clothes on.
I fold, you win.
Hilarious. I think this was probably the moment Fitz became my absolute favourite character. I wish the writers remembered that Ian's also superb at comedy and not just all the dramatic, heart-crushing stuff they give him in later seasons. Skye uses the tech to her advantage, and there's probably a good joke here about how it technically does detect that Ward is a huge dick. But as if I'd lower myself to that kind of humour. I Spy is a fantastic episode. It starts with my favourite opening sequence so far, and ends with my favourite tag scene so far. While tying Camilla to Coulson's past in 084 didn't quite land with me, Akilah's story resonated much more strongly as the history between the characters spoke more to Coulson's character arc of having changed since his death. Every main character got a moment to shine, and there were some brilliant character moments here, particularly with Coulson and Skye, as well as some superbly subtle acting from Elizabeth Henstridge. The idea behind Akilah's plight was incredibly creepy and acts as a setup for multiple big reveals both in this season and the next, making this one-off feeling episode actually incredibly important, much like the asset. I think these past 2 episodes, while solid on first viewing, are definitely made stronger from having seen the story arcs they set up play out fully. I think that's why I'm having so much fun watching them 7 years later. What an awesome time this was. Not quite sure how to end this episode of The Guide, so here's Fitz making weird noises again. See you next time.